What up, dudes? It's Uncle Stitch doing another Moonlight with Uncle Stitch video. Here in about an hour or so, I'm going to take you back down to the dock. And this time, I'm going to use the flash on my camera so that you guys can see this dock as I'm walking down it. Because the last video kind of sucked, and the lighting's a lot better where I'm at now. So tonight's attempt is to fix the lighting issue from last night. The ring around the moon, for whatever reason, didn't happen tonight. But yeah, this whole trip down to Florida has been kind of bittersweet. You know, it's been a nice time with my family, but unfortunately my grandfather, who's one of the few remaining Korean War veterans left on this planet, he's not doing so well. They did a couple years ago, they put some kind of a pump because he had congestive heart failure. So they put some kind of a pump because his heart was only beating at like 20% of what it needed to be. And those pumps get old. You know, eventually they stop working. So you'll have to excuse the light blinking. It's one of those fucking motion sensor ones. But so for my birthday, my whole family drove up to Ohio, with the exclusion of my brother. He's not family at all, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, my mom, my dad, and my grandfather drove all the way up to Ohio. And Ohio has a lot of casinos. You know, there's West Virginia casinos, there's Indiana casinos, there's Ohio casinos. It's kind of like the epicenter of casinos, if you're not in Las Vegas. But so anyway, we went casino hopping, and during that time I won a little bit of cash, and well, I did pretty well, actually. But we decided that I would go down to Florida and spend a couple weeks down there. And seeing as how I'd won that cash, I was like, okay, yeah, cool, you know, I'm down for that. So when we went down to Florida, my grandfather wasn't doing too well, and almost immediately he went into the hospital, and they kept him there for like a week. So I went back up to Ohio, and I decided that I was going to wait until he was feeling a little better, like a month or two later, and come back down to spend time with him, because this test that they ran was a test to see if his veins would grow over a new pump or something. They had to see if his veins would grow over things, and they won't. So he's kind of just got to deal with what he has. And you know, he can't walk 20 feet without having to sit down and take a breather. He's out of breath all the time. His blood sugar, or his blood pressure, is just wildly out of control. And they've been, you know, people, I always tell, and this is not slander, but I tell people that the Florida physicians are the biggest joke on this fucking planet. And they really are. I genuinely believe that most of them paid for their doctorate degree and never actually went to school. You know, I genuinely believe that. They're fucking idiots. So the only people who will help my grandfather is the VA. Because if he was to go to a regional medical center, like they did with my grandmother, you know, they would just keep taking blood and keep taking blood and keep taking blood and keep taking blood until there was, you know, he couldn't regenerate anymore. And that's essentially what they did to my grandmother. You know, they're like, oh, we're running tests. And no, they were sucking her dry. But, I don't know, maybe they needed it for somebody else. Which reminds me to tell you, if you put the words organ donor on your license and you get into an accident, there is a very high possibility that instead of saving your life, they'll go ahead and pull the plug because other people need your organs. That is a fact. So something cool that you can do that they can't fuck with is there we go. Donate your body to science. That's what I'm doing. That way, if I do die in an accident, at least it'll go to a good cause. You know, my destroyed liver will end up in a science classroom somewhere for the 5th grade science class. I'm gonna be that one motherfucker. But you know, my grandfather is one of the coolest fucking people I think I've ever met. And I really wish he would have wrote like a biography or something for people to read, because that dude was through a very tough war. You know, he's a damn good man. And you know, throughout the years, I have upgraded his pocket knife collection, as you might imagine, as holidays roll around for gifts and birthdays and stuff. And I always wanted to make sure that, you know, if my grandfather was to need a pocket knife, that it would be something real stylish, you know. And fucking light. I'm not gonna fuck with it. So anyway, we're gonna roll down to this dock, and I'll show you what it looks like at nighttime. You do get the hair on the back of your neck stands up, and you can feel a temperature change. It's a very eerie, cold feeling. And there have been dead bodies found back there. They're usually chomped up by alligators and shit. You know, I'm not smiling because that's funny. I'm smiling because it's hilarious. I'm just kidding. No, but there are meth heads that go down there, and you know, they get caught all the time parking in front of the thing, parking in front of the dock, and they'll fall asleep in the little fucking cargo vans or whatever. They get caught all the time, all the fucking time. And there's gators that will, when you get on your boat, they'll swim up to your boat and wait, and they wait, and they wait. And what it is it's not the residents who live here. It's the grandkids that they bring in that are too young and too naive to know not to feed them. They feed them. And now these alligators are accustomed to, you know, getting food sources from humans. And there's a boat ramp that doesn't have a gate on it or any protection whatsoever for them to just crawl right up that fucking boat ramp and go sit outside somebody's house when they're hungry. So that's kind of the environment that is worth paying attention to. You'd think that, calling Fish, Game, and Wildlife would do something, because they could capture these alligators and take them so far down the lake that they wouldn't be able to find their way back, and they would live a long, happy life. But until the environment gets out of control, that's when they step in. They don't step in beforehand. They wait until there's a pest issue. And sometimes those issues lead to death. It just depends. I mean, hopefully it's a cat or a dog or something. Hopefully it's not somebody's grandkids that are out playing one day, and then all of a sudden this fucking alligator comes flying. Those things can run up to like 25 miles an hour. Like, you ain't outrunning that motherfucker. And if you think you're gonna climb a fucking tree, they can jump the length of their body. So you better be able to climb that tree fucking fast. And there's not a whole lot of trees down here, especially ones that have limbs on them. There's like palm trees down here. There's a shit ton of palm trees. And those are, unless you're an experienced palm tree climber, I mean, there's no limbs to hang on to. You gotta use your feet and wrap your arms around the trunk. And if you're just a little one, chances are you probably ain't gonna make it. So, but been sending my grandfather just little things here and there, upgrading his knife collection. And what's so sad about it is, it's like, no matter what it's at the point that it feels like, no matter what I'm given, like no matter what I give to him, it's like I'm giving it to myself. He knows he doesn't have long. I know he's going to end up giving them right back to me, But for the time being, he's going to be one cool-ass motherfucker. For instance, this is one of his gems that I got him. Let me see if I can get that light to kick on. I love this thing. Hang on. Try to get that fucking light to kick on. So this here is a Frank B stiletto. It's a 9-inch, and one of the it's a pick lock design, and it's a swivel bolster. It's got a tough lock on it. Yeah, that's quite a nice little people sticker. I'm sure you can see the engraving B there. It's a Frank B stiletto from Maniago, Italy. It's beautiful. Absolutely fucking beautiful, but the way that you close it, is you push down on the swivel, and that frees up the blade to be pushed down. I'm kind of making this as future reference for my mom, because I've had to explain to my grandfather a few times how to close this thing, because he keeps forgetting. So Mom, if you're watching this video and Grandpa can't figure out how to get this thing closed and I'm not down here, the way this operates, get that fucking light to start up. There we go. There's a pin, this little pin here, and when deployed, it gets stuck in this hole. It's called a pick lock design. Right? The lock has to be picked in order to push that button free. So you press that bolster down, And when you do that, it presses against the guard and releases the pin so that it can be closed again. But yeah, this is one of my favorites from my grandfather's collection. Is this 9-inch Frank B stiletto. It's beautiful. Very quick firing mechanism. It's just a beautiful knife. Very long, very pointy. Very shiny. But yeah, that's stilettos always will be an heirloom. And for those of you who have them, don't sell them. Save them. If you're stupid enough to sell them, you know, get what you can for them, I guess, if you're in that big of a rush. Throughout my knife buying experience on the secondary market, I've ran across a few trustworthy people. And a lot of the Italian stilettos that I get, like if you go to BladeHQ.com or BladeOps.com or KnifeCenter.com, those major websites, they've got maybe 1 or 2 stilettos and a whole bunch of out of stocks. So a resource that I use is a guy in Italy. His name is Adriano Iliaca, and I've done business with him in the past. He's a trustworthy guy, and he can get his hands on just about anything you want. You know, the whole AGA Camplin line, the Maltese Cross, was one of my favorites. It's a lockback design. I wanted the black handles, but unfortunately all I could get was the stag handles. You know, black is more suitable. It's more fitting for my style. But I do appreciate stag. I do. It does look nice in certain situations, but black always looks nice. You know. But they've got this new Diana line, which is a different type of switchblade. It doesn't have the S design curvature on the bolsters that were predominant in like the 1950s and the 1960s. One thing I will tell you though, if anybody ever tries to rip you off, there's different companies out there like Frozalone, Frank B, AKC, SKM, AGA Camplin. There's different brands out there, but every single one of them from Italy. I'm not talking about the Chinese stilettos, and I'm not talking about Russian prison stilettos or any of that. But you see how high up this button is to the guard here? Well, if it was in the middle of the knife, that's a 1950s style, which means it was made in the 1950s. And the higher up that button goes, the newer it is. That's something that a whole lot of people don't know. And you would really, really have to be heavily into collecting switchblades to know information like that. So if you go to a gun show and somebody's standing there with a line of Italian switchblades, and they try to tell you that this knife's worth $300 because it was made in the 1950s, and the button is not in the middle, it's not centered in the stiletto, it's not from the 50s. And if it's not, like, I believe it was 1920s to 1930s, I think it was right above the locking mechanism. So if they if they try to hand you something and tell you that it's from the 1950s and that it's worth $500 and the fucking button's up closer to the bolsters than it is the locking mechanism, you know they're lying to you, because these do not have an age on them. They don't have like case. They use dots, like a 10 dot, you know, and using a series of dots that you have to use an eyeglass to look through to see. That gives the age, the date of the knife. So there's just little tiny things that you have to know as a collector to keep yourself from getting ripped off. And Adriana Ilyanka was one of the guys who taught me all this. He is a very trustworthy guy. So, anyway, everybody loves bell songs, man, but, some of us enjoy stilettos too, or any type of switchblades. And if you go on Facebook, search for vintage switchblades, and I'm sure Adriana Ilyanka's group will pop right up. He's a very reputable guy. You might try collecting, or switchblade collectors and stuff like that. You can learn a lot from the forums, and almost all the information that I've obtained has been from these groups. So all you got to do is just spend the time to read and learn, and there's a lot of members in those groups that will feed you solid information if you just ask. But the unfortunate part is you can't really get a deal on something because everybody knows what they have. So, but, it's the same thing in the Valley community. I mean, nobody's going to get on BFBK and try to sell a fucking Benchmade 42, for $50. You know what I mean? So, nobody's that stupid. But anyway, so here in about an hour or so, I'm going to take you down to that dock. I want you guys to see it. Last night, I looked over to the left, the dock that used to, it's like right on the edge of the jungle part of the island. There was a dock that led out, and it had this very, very long, droopy fucking pole, and on this pole was like a bell, and underneath this, it was like a bell shape, and underneath this bell shape was this bluish, greenish light that reflected off the water. It's creepy as fuck. It is eerie as hell down there, but it would make a beautiful flipping place. I think it'd be fucking awesome. I don't know. I might, you know what? I don't know. If I can find a Jaguar or something cheap, like a $20, $25 bell song, I'm going to buy it tonight. And I'm going to make a flipping video down here in Florida. Because my last channel got shut down. And I had like 3 or 4 Florida flipping videos. And now I don't have any of them. So I was lucky enough that I still have West Virginia flaps from my time in West Virginia. But, a lot of the shit that was recorded up there is gone, Sucks. So I'm actually talking to the chick that was in a story time with Uncle Stitches from West Virginia, and I'm asking her if she will do it again. And I'm going to fly her from her fucking little village she lives in to have a fucking story time with Uncle Stitch. And we're gonna re-fucking do it. Hell yeah. But yeah, her name's Tiffany. We've been friends for a long time. There was a unfortunate event that happened that, we quit talking for a long time. People were pointing their fingers one way or another. And no light ever came to it because she didn't want to believe that her son was wrong. So, but we're over it now. We grow up and realize that life's too fucking short to be angry at people, Except for, my brother, obviously. That motherfucker. If I was told, well, I left him a voicemail, and then I repeated myself probably 7 times to my mom. If I ever see him again, I'm not going to say anything to him. My facial expression isn't going to change. I'm just going to stab him to death. I told my mom that. And he knows that because I've left a voicemail on his phone. And then he sent the police to my house. Which didn't do shit. I tell you, one thing I'm going to do is if I ever start my own bar, I'm going to hang up all of my restraining orders all around the top of the bar in plaques. But yeah, I've wrote songs about that motherfucker. Like one of the Bible songs. What's it called? This little light of mine. Except for my version goes. This little knife of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little knife of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little knife of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. When I see my brother, I'm gonna stab him in the eye, 'cause he's a sack of shit who deserves to die. I'm gonna stab Josh Thurman, I'm gonna send him back to Christ. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Alright guys, so, oh yeah, and I rewrote the national anthem. Oh my god. Let's see, how's that go again? It goes like this. Oh, say, can you see Josh Thurman on his hands and knees? What so loudly he wailed at the twilight's ass reaming, and the guards did not care that his butthole was shared. Gave proof through the night that life is not fair. Oh, say that Josh Thurman just might be gay. By the way that he acts and the cum on his face. Alright guys, here in about an hour or so I'm going to go down to that dock. So we'll see you then. What up guys, it's Uncle Stitch. I don't have a whole lot of battery left, so I can't stay out there too long. But I'm going to drive down there real quick on a golf cart, a different one from last night. See if I can figure it out how to turn the lights on. Okay. Went ahead and turned the camera around here. Fucking windows are so damn dark you can't hardly see nothing anyway. yesterday I brought up that story about Rika and Kayla is they actually painted that dock. It's this massive bridge. I'm going to turn the flash on my camera and see if we can see if you guys can get a better idea of fucking how high up you are on that thing. Windows in this thing are so dirty I can't even tell if the lights are on. There's a fucking speed bump. Trying to make sure that there aren't too many people that were awake. Alright, here we are. Just a sec, I'm going to shut this down and park the car. We're actually pretty high up in the air. And with this light being on, everybody's going to be able to see me if they're awake. That's why I waited till the hours of 1 a.m. to avoid any confrontation with the police. See that thing sitting there? That's what scared the shit out of me last night, because that's the first time I've seen that. It's a little plastic owl that somebody put up there. Vegetation. Smoking a cigarette, that's why you're seeing smoke. God, there's another ring around the moon. Let's see if we can see it. That ring, you can barely make it out, but it goes all the way around the moon. My camera's too shitty, but there's a ring that goes all the way around the moon. It's pretty cool. See, and there's another thing that scared the shit out of me yesterday. Another one of those plastic fucking things. Off in the distance, it's hard to tell. So this view here, this would be awesome to flip in, I think. You can't really see it, but Wait till the smoke clears. So right there, at this little light right here, off to the left-hand side is a dock that no longer has a light. And what protrudes out of the forestry that you see there is a dock. It's like right there somewhere. Or maybe there. But there's this, it was sinister as fuck. It used to look evil as hell out here. It was like a dark blue green light, and it was there for years. But I would sit out here and write my poetry sometimes at night. It does have a nice view. It is pretty nice seeing the moonlight glinting off the thing. But yeah, right over there is like this island, and over here is like an island as well, where inside of this island, these tiny little islands, I don't know what else to call them, they're little patches of land that have trees on them and shit. They are completely fucking infested with alligators. So if you fall into this water, you're fucked, because there ain't nothing to hold on to. There ain't nothing to grab. You're fucked. There ain't no climbing back up. You gotta swim your way back to shore, and you ain't gonna make it. I can promise you that. And with all the dumb fuckheads that keep feeding the goddamn alligators, man, I wish you guys could see that ring. It's just barely fucking visible through this thing. Just barely. But I will, before I leave here, I will try and get a picture. I can't remember if that light was on or not. That one right in the middle. Somebody may be watching us. It's a very good possibility of that. But yeah, this is looking over the edge. That is a pretty deep fall. You're looking at least 20 feet. And as soon as those alligators hear squirming around, that's what they do. They come. I'm going to go ahead and shut my light off here because we're aimed at the community, and I don't want anybody looking out their window and seeing somebody walking around with a flashlight, because I do have a switchblade on me and I don't want to have to deal with the cops. I just don't. But so anyway, that's the dock. I wanted to show you. Look at these flowers. Those things are actually huge. They're about the size of a softball. They're fucking gorgeous. Sometimes they're pink too, like a really, really bright, vibrant pink. It's pretty cool. You can kind of get an idea of how high up we are. It looks a lot less than what it actually is on the camera, but like there are full-grown trees beneath us, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off so I don't draw too much attention. I don't want to have to explain why I've got a felony in my pocket right now. But, alright guys. I'll do another Moonlight with Uncle Stitch here pretty soon. Alright, peace. See real quick, here's a reference point. That's somebody's boat beneath us. That's a pontoon boat. That's how high up we are. That's a long fall. But yeah, you fall in there, you're not coming back up. You ain't gonna climb your way back up them poles. I'll show you this vegetation during the daylight. It is a very dreary, creepy place. But yeah, nighttime's a little different. But yeah, I'll show you guys this place during the daylight sometime. Alright guys, peace.